Surtur,
Yes.
what did you do?
Nothing.
What did you do?
I had an opinion.
And
I put it online.
and
People reacted to it.
Greetings, Rommies, and welcome to Rom Rom, the channel showing the joy of sim racing and to Surtur's latest. I can say up because you're just gonna bleep it. It's fine.
Oh, it's not. It's it's not a screw up though, because this is a good conversation to have, and I'm happy that we get to have it. So this is good. This is good.
Yes,
but there were a lot of
right.
comments on our video. Are we buying the same sim again and again? And we think it's worth continuing the discussion. We kind of want to talk about it. You guys had a lot of opinions. So we want to share some of your opinions, give our reactions to them, and I think Ike and I also have kind of our own opinions on the topic that we'll talk through.
There's a link in the top corner of the video to the original video that we're going to be responding to, and you can look through all the comments. And the first thing that I'd like to say is that, good grief, our community is wholesome. There were a couple of shorter comments, but a lot of the comments that we received on that video were very, very well reasoned. And it's a genuine pleasure to be able to have people like yourselves around to allow us to have these kinds of conversations. There were a couple of comments that were a little bit flippant, but on the whole, there were some brilliant opinions and comments that were left. The first one that took my eye was one from Thomas Neat 880, who said, "There's no point in listening to this video. If getting better at Mount Panorama or Spa for such a long time is something bad or boring, that means you have nothing to do with sim racing. Go play Forza with some kids." There's nothing to take from that comment. Go be a bitch somewhere else. He did also say thanks to the video, subscribe, so there's every possibility you might see this video as well. But yeah, it's a bit of a difficult question to ask, and an even more difficult one to answer, because, as Surtur rightly said, we are driving the same tracks. We are also driving a developer's iteration and imagination of a track, which is a difficult thing to nail down. I'm going to force Cody to say something now because he's being very polite.
Yeah. There's a great way to intro me. You're like, yeah, we're gonna talk politely, unlike Americans. And then...
No. You're a very polite man.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that I saw kind of wrapped up in this whole conversation is people talking about the same sim, right? And there's some guy who says, I like getting the same car and track across different sims and seeing how each dev team interprets that experience. So for me, one of the core things to simulation software in general is that this one team creates a thing that they think interprets reality as represents reality as accurately as possible. Of course, it's not reality. It's a recreation of reality. It can be really, really close, but it's never going to be exactly 100%. Yeah. But there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, and there's a lot of different teams who are going to try to interpret reality into a simulation, and this applies to all sorts of simulation games. Let's say you have Spa and GT3 cars in a bunch of different sims. Let's say you have a sim that was released in, I don't know, 2014. And then you have a sim that was released in, 2018. And then you have a sim that was released in 2023. There's and all of those have GT3 cars, and all of them have Spa. Now this one, it's their interpretation. Technological progress ensues. These guys have an interpretation. Technological progress ensues. These guys have an interpretation. And ideally, right, technological advancements, what one team has learned from watching another team, that sort of thing. We're getting closer to simulating reality. Now, of course, depending on your preferred sim, different interpretations of things, different implementations of things like tire models, etc., that can have some variation on which one you think is better or was one a step back, that sort of thing. But ideally, we have different sims, we have newer simulations because technological progress advances. And if technological progress has advanced from the GTR2 days, I want to buy the same car and track in the 2024 sim versus the 2004 sim, because we've come a long way in those years. So I think having the same content is good. Now, I think if you have a sim that came out in 2023 versus a sim that came out in 2022, and they have, remarkably similar experiences, and again, people can say, this one's better or Y's better. What?
Are you referring RF2 and LMU?
Maybe. Maybe.
I'll say it. I don't care. Yes.
But yeah, so it's like, if they're really similar in terms of age, that sort of thing, maybe sure, you are buying the same experience twice if you get those. I personally don't have a whole lot of use for buying the content of R Factor 2 because I don't really play R Factor 2 all that much anymore. I used to. In terms of physics of graphics, that's my opinion on that. I think as time goes on, the more time you have between one sim coming out and another sim coming out, the more sense it makes to have the same content across sims. I think if you have two sims that are pretty close together, and it's it comes down to the just personal preference of those sims, and they're both technologically on the same or similar level, I think it's more of a wash. I think there's different ways that different people use racing sims. For you, you race in a league, you're quite constantly, you're either practicing for or racing in a multiplayer league. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
I do probably 5% of my sim racing online. Vast majority of my racing is done offline against AI, and usually it's recreating a historic racing series as accurately as I can, so that I can immerse myself in that time period and I can really go back to it. Right now, the most recent thing that I raced was I have put together in Assetto Corsa, because this is the one that lets you facilitate this the best. It used to be GTR2 and then it became Assetto Corsa. But I ran a 2.4 hour, so 10x speed, Le Mans 24 hours 1965, with most of the cars that actually raced at Le Mans 1965.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And I ran a 250 LM. I ran the one that actually won in real life. I did not win in real life, in the sim. I think I placed like 5th or 6th. And with some ballast and some restrictor, I was able to make it a proper competitive race. Say again?
Nice. Isn't the 250 LM or the 250 GT is the one that we saw at Inter Classics, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of Ferrari 250s. There's more Ferrari 250s than you can count on one hand. Count on
obviously.
both hands.
I think the one in the Inter Classic was from the 50s, if I remember correctly.
It's very pretty.
Yeah. But yeah, so like you and I, for instance, we use sims in a very different way. And this is one of the reasons why there are different sims, because there are different audiences that we're trying to capture. If you race only online, let's look at kart sims, for example. So Kartcraft versus Kart Racing Pro. I don't know if you guys have even heard of Kart Racing Pro.
No, not at all.
But yeah, it is a karting simulation. Not even a game. It's a karting simulation. It does have multiplayer. It does not have AI or any kind of like offline mode other than just practice. However, It's really, really high detail, and so if you're an actual like professional kart racer, it's probably what you're going to use. If you want more of a like casual simulate, it's not a casual simulation, but if you want more of a like offline recreational experience, Kartcraft is the way to go. Those are two sims that are very different in terms of the audience that they're trying to capture. Kart Racing Pro, the pro part is emphasized. It is, unless you're in like a league with people, you're doing that because you are practicing for a track. And there are people on Race Department, there's not that many, but there are people who have made tracks for Kart Racing Pro. Pretty much every single one of them is laser scanned, and pretty much every single one of them is like current. There's no like, hey, let's drive a historic kart or a historic kart track. None of that, because it's all like racing practice. This is it.
Which does actually raise another point. I think that if you gave any sim racer the opportunity to jump in the car that they're simulating and do the race that they're simulating in real life, no one would say no.
Cody, by the way, what you're saying is a little bit like what Wibble Wabble Woo says. He says it's a fair point. I do buy all the games, but I use them for different things depending on my mood. I use AMS2 for F1. ACC is my go-to for offline, although I find GT3 boring. RF2 was for online races in BTCC and Radicals and Caterhams, etc., until everyone deserted it. AC for drunkenly driving a lawnmower or transit van. So yeah, it's that like I do understand very much that you use the different sims for different things. Is one of the reasons why while we don't like iRacing, and I think I speak for all three of us, one thing that it does is it brings people together to race against each other. It has such a big community, and they are so good at setting up different races that, even when you're in Europe, at Europe times, you are going to find people to race against if you go to one of the iRacing servers, one of the official races. The chances that you're gonna have a race, kinda okay race, depending on which tier you are, is big. So we all go as you just showed, Cody. You and Ike go to Sims for a different reason. At the moment, I fire up the Sims mostly because I'm testing one piece of hardware, but that's a completely different story, and that's something that it's been like that for the last 6 months or something like that.
There's a comment here that I find kind of funny. Says, I would say we all buy. This is from Chevon Robinson
yeah.
6116. Yeah, it says, I would say we all buy and do the same thing every day. Sometimes we go to different restaurants to buy the same food cooked by someone else or just to get a different taste. It continues on from there. But I like this one because it reminds me of the meme where it's like American trying to explain something. Okay, so imagine burger. Imagine all those simulators are burgers, and you can get a different burger, and some of the burgers have different toppings.
Well, no, you missed out. You missed out the best bit. How many different ways can you cook chicken? Like it's a beautiful. We are all trying to impersonate reality, but there's so many different ways that we can approach reality. Do you look at it from a physical approach? Do you approach it from a scientific approach? Do you approach it from what's the word for how it feels? Okay, I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, basically how it feels. It's not cathartic. It begins with a C, but does it feel right? It doesn't matter how it looks. It doesn't matter how it's programmed. Does it feel right? And all of those different approaches will create vastly different packages and experiences that people will enjoy in different ways.
So we are driving the same thing again and again and again, and we're not driving the same thing again and again and again.
Yeah,
We're driving
yeah,
different versions of things again and again and again,
Yeah.
and hopefully those versions are better. They're improving over time. That's
they're
Oh, yeah.
improving over time. Yeah.
I mean, one thing that I found very interesting, coming from Reza, who've been updating and making the physics ever better on Automobilista 2. They said, look, guys, with the 1.6, we've reached a point where, based on the hardware that we normally use for sim racing, and based on the calculations that we can do with the software we have reached the ceiling of what we can simulate and emulate in the physics. For the 1.7, we're gonna do some things for the tires, but the rest of the whole physics shebang we've been doing in the versions 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, we are not going to go that deep again, because we cannot. Like, they didn't say it, it's my interpretation, but it's like, we need a quantum computer to be able to move to further physics.
I'm looking for a comment and I can't find it now. This is what you get for scrolling up and down. But it's a summation of AV Flashback 8913, Paginification. Sure, sorry, I murdered that. And Mike Croshaw, who all are like in a line. But none of the sims are perfect. That's the issue. None of them does everything well. iRacing doesn't do physics well. AMS2 doesn't do internet well. RF2 doesn't do tires. Well, no, it does tires really well. It doesn't do internet hosting very well. Assetto Corsa doesn't do anything well, but it's accessible. In its
Assetto
base
Corsa
form,
Evo does not do server well, but that's a different story.
AC Evo doesn't do performance well at the moment. Yeah, but hopefully it'll get there. Yeah, I think that's the position that we kind of have to come to, is that we are buying the same physical medium over and over again. Yes, but I mean, the F1 games sell every year. We're not buying the same games every year. We're not buying EA FIFA Championship every year. We're buying the same content once every 3, 4, 5 years, on the understanding that physics have improved, our graphics cards have improved, the AI has improved.
I played GT Legends from when I was a young kid, on a keyboard and mouse. By the way, I beat the career mode for that on a keyboard and mouse. It was many years before I ever got a racing wheel. But I played, GT Legends, GTR2, and then whenever I think it was 2019 when I finally was able to have a computer that was good enough to run anything newer than that. Basically, I was on a crappy laptop all my, like, every time before that, but I was able to build a PC in 2019 in my dorm in college, and from there I got Assetto Corsa, I got a Thrustmaster T300 RS, and I was off to the races. Mounted it to my
Literally.
desk even. Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. Pun intended.
I'm sure it was.
Yes. But yeah, it's and since then I've played and enjoyed Assetto Corsa so much, in the same way that I played GTR2 so much, and it had all the content that I could dream of. Even in my GTR2 content, there will never be enough hours in my life to play every track and car combination of all of the stuff that I had in GTR2. There just won't, and Assetto Corsa probably make that like 5 lifetimes. So in terms of content, I'm solid. So the only thing that can get me to move on is better physics, better AI, and from there, I want it to have the content that I like the most. And so that's one of the things that makes me excited about the prospect of Assetto Corsa Evo. I think, from its release, it has a long way to go. But, I'm excited for the future of it in ways that I haven't been as excited for other Sims that have come out in the past. Because for me, at least, I see that and I'm like, you know what? If this goes the right way, this could be the next thing that I hop onto, and then I stay on that. There was a comment, because we're on the subject. It said, this is Abe CD. I think it's supposed to be like
Yes.
ABCD,
Abe's,
right?
yeah,
4389.
439.
Yes, they said, after thinking a bit, I confess that I'm a serial monogamist when it comes to sim racing. That's me. Brethren, that is me. So it began in Project Cars 2 with my first cheap wheel and pedals. Yeah, there you go. My first, this was on a console, so I don't count it as much, but console and game controller. I had Project Cars.
Yep.
And that one
That's a brave
was
choice as well.
right, yeah. So began in Project Cars 2 with my first cheap wheel and pedals. Coming from arcade games was a huge leap, very hard to master. I stuck with it for about a half a year, and then I think there was supposed to be more. I'm not sure, it's loading. But I think from there, you can extrapolate that you moved on to something else and you've stuck with that.
I was gonna say,
That's kind of where I'm at.
Do you want me to go through the rest of the comment to give it because it's loaded for me?
Okay, awesome. By all means.
Yep. So Abe Seed says it started in Project Cars 2, discovered Assetto Corsa with all the mods, went with that exclusively for about a year or two, hosted events, joined random races, all online. Wanted to do a bit of single player because he wanted to do old cars, but other people weren't into it, and the AC single player was just dull. Much like the conversation that we had in Fromcoms, I think it was last time, where Kunos can't do AI. Looked around, found RF2, found the AI drivers great, but performance in VR wasn't bad. Still stuck around with for about 6 months. AMS2 came out, and then he loved the performance in that. And we've had Serta preach the praises of AMS2, so it's about the same as that. Drove that for about 6 months, and then it seems as though he's moved on to Race Room and stuck with that outside of the graphics engine. He seems to be they seem to be very, very happy with it. So it's been, in the last week, he said, in the last weeks, I've made the journey again from Project Cars 2 to Assetto Corsa to ACC, RF2, AMS2, and R3E. Remembered what was so great in each sim and the reason why I switched. It's like with most things in life, you have a blast with something for a while until you feel the need for a change, and often it gets better. He also said that he's curious what the last garage will bring, and again, absolutely share that. We're I hope to think good friends with Marcel at this point, and we absolutely can endorse just how good that sim is, even at this early stage. We're all very much looking forward to what that brings in the future.
If you like what you see, how about supporting us? A like and a comment to tell the almighty algorithm we are worth watching are a good start. Subscribing is even better, and what really helps us grow is you becoming a patron, as YouTube's income is tiny for a sim racing channels. Patrons get access to exclusive content and are involved in our decision. Help us grow with your support. Help us keep spreading the joy of sim racing. Become a patron today.
One of the things that I want to know now from you, the audience, is, has anything that we've said here sparked an idea or a thought around this? And I want to end off our conversation. There's a comment in here that was asking, maybe we should be able to buy a license for the tracks and cars so we don't have to buy them again and again. I think, first off, that's a pipe dream, because that's just not the way the world works. However, let's imagine for a second that you could. Let's live in that world for a second. You have sims that are coming out, Sims that will come out in the future, Sims that have come out. If you want Lamar, for instance, and you're like, I'm gonna buy a license for Lamar, and I guess you would go to the ACO.
It would be a license. It would be a license broker. There would be a shop front like iRacing where you buy the license to the track, and that just goes across all games that you have in the future.
That makes sense. But yeah, okay. So a third party, you go here,
Administers the licenses.
right? I feel like race department would. Imagine you buy Sonoma, and you get it in every sim, and I guess every sim that that ever comes. So the sim developers would make the physics and the whole game and all that, but then the content would get ported over. Let's imagine we don't.
Okay.
You would have some interface
Right?
translating the laser scan that you bought as license to the sim. Yeah.
So Twilight
we're in
Zone,
a dream. Exactly.
there's a translation layer. No. Now here's a question: is that a perpetual license? Do you
Yes.
buy Le Mans and then you have it forever across all sims that come out in the future? Because then that becomes a question of like, how in the world is a sim supposed to make money? Like, 'cause one of the
100%,
big ones is
yeah,
DLC,
100%, that
right?
was. Yep. Well, no, let alone the DLC. The original purchases of the game, there's no way that you would be able to charge 30 to 50 euro USD for any sim, because you've already paid out for all of the tracks and cars. Essentially all you're paying for is the framework of a physics system. It gets really difficult.
We have had our thoughts to your thoughts. Let's hear or let's read. Yeah, let's read your thoughts to our thoughts to your thoughts to my thoughts to whatever.
Leave a comment below. Let's not go beyond that.
Yeah, down.
Yes,
scroll
down
down.
there. And let us
Or-
know if you enjoyed this as well.
Or if you want, come to our Discord and discuss it there.
Yes. Even better, because we can actually respond to you directly there. In any case, I'm going to do Serta's bit. Anything more from you, sir? From you, Cody?
I'm all set. This has been a great talk.
Anything else from you, Serta?
I already started this catastrophe. I'm not piling onto it.
Cool, I'll finish then. Remember, be excellent to each other, and until next time, save fuel, collect pickup, and we'll see each other on the podium. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.